Hi everyone, my name's Jeremy and I'm going to show you how to make a flash web banner, which is basically just going to be three images. We could take it further, but we'll start off with this one. We're going to have some buttons if we need to, but basically it's going to be three images like this that just sort of alphas out each one of the images and plays as such. Okay, so to do that, I'll just click that guy off. We need to make the stage to the size of the images. Now, these images that we're going to use are actually 500 by 400 pixels. So we need to first change the stage to that amount. So this is saying 550. So we're going to go 500 by 150. There we go. So now we have a little banner. I mean, it could be wider depending on what the website you're putting it onto, but this is just a nice size banner that you can stick on the top of a website. So the first thing we need to do is to import, or actually and resize if we need to, three images that we're going to use. So for this exercise, I've created three images, which are just here in a folder. Basically, this is Las Vegas. That's another shot of Las Vegas, and that's the Grand Canyon just down the road. So, three examples of images. I mean, obviously, you could do what you want, and depends on what the website's about, of course. Could be anything. But that's the images I'm going to use at the moment. So, we need to first import the images into the library over here. And I'll just click this guy up here so it's showing everything. So if we go to File, now we don't want to import it straight to the stage, we want to import it to the library because we'll be doing other stuff later with it. So import to library. These images are on my desktop, and you can actually select the whole lot if you need to and import them into the library. And there you can see we have our images in the library. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got our three images in here, and if you click on them, you can see them in your library. We've got our timeline down here, and what we're first going to do is we're going to bring in one of the images, the first image. So if we drag one of these guys in somewhere, doesn't matter where at this stage, that's the first image which I've dragged in. We then need to get it to and align it to the stage. So just drag your image in there like that, select your image, and you'll see the blue line to go around here. Grab your alignment tool, which is this guy up here. If it's not there, go up to Windows and check it so it's open. Make sure that this align to stage is ticked, because that's what we're actually doing. If it's not ticked, it won't work. Then we go up to horizontal center, and you'll see what's going on, and vertical center, and we've now aligned that picture to the stage. Right, so now we've got that, we're just going to name the layer image 1. It could be slide 1 or whatever you'd like to call it, but we call it image 1. And you can see that we've got a keyframe here which has a black little key in it, which means there's something on this layer, which is good. The one thing though, to do what we need to do, Flash doesn't actually transform between images naturally. You have to change your image to a movie clip, and to do that, it's not too hard. What you need to do is just right click it and then go convert to movie clip, or symbol is what I was trying to say. So we'll go symbol 1, let's call it image 1. We still need it to be a movie clip, not a button or graphics. It's a movie clip, and the registration in the top left hand corner is fine for now, so that is all cool. So you just go press OK, and once you do that, you'll see there's a little funny little sort of plus sign up in the corner here and a little round circle in the middle. So now we've actually changed that image 1 into a symbol. Okay, so let's set up the timeline for this first image. So we've got image 1, we've got it on frame number 1 here at this keyframe 1 here. Now, the properties of this stage and everything is, let's see, so we did the stage, I'm sorry, let's just go back down in here. It's running at, I think, 24 frames per second. So what we need to do is, so we can set that, you can see down in the bottom here it says 24 frames per second. That's cool, we'll leave it like that, but we only want this image to sort of appear for 2 seconds. So if it's doing 24 frames per second, then we need 48 frames. So we need to go up to frame 48. So you got 45, 6, 7, and 8, right? 9 and 10, so that's right. So we need to select frame 48, right click it, and insert a keyframe. Okay, so that means that our image here is going to be here for the 48 frames, or 2 seconds. And then we want this image to transition out over over half a second. So half a second at 24 frames a second is 12. So that would mean that if we did that, we need to put another keyframe in at the 60 here. So I'm going to insert a keyframe by right clicking. So we have 1 to 48 frames that this image will show, which is 2 seconds, and then half a second we've given time for this to transition out. So we have frames 1 to 48 for the viewing of this image, and then from this these frames here is the transition out time. Okay, so what we need to do is make a transition between this frame down here to this frame here. So when you click on this frame here, which was at 48, and you click on your actual symbol, you'll see that you have some properties of the symbol. And you notice that these are a few tabs here. So if you go into where it says display, color effect, style, you'll see that, sorry, it wasn't display, it was color effect. You'll see that there's a checker here where you can see that there's an alpha and brightness and stuff. So if I click on the alpha, we don't need to do anything right now, but you can see the alpha's at 100%. The alpha means like transparent, so at this stage it's not transparent. So it's not transparent at keyframe 48, but we wanted to go to transparency when it hits keyframe 60 here. So I'm just going to click on 60. I'm then going to do exactly the same. I'm going to click on the symbol itself, and then I go to color effect. I want alpha, so I've selected alpha, and I'm turning the transition right down to 0. Now, if you have a look on the timeline, we can't see anything. We can see that it's got an alpha right there at 0, but it's still in there at the moment. So what we need to do now is put a tween in between these. So we right click between these keyframes, that keyframe and that keyframe, right click it and create a classic tween. And now you see that we actually have a little transition. So we view all this for that time, and then when it gets into here it starts to fade out. Okay, so we've done our first image, our first layer. We're now going to bring in the second one. So we'll click new image, new layer, and down the bottom here again, straight away we'll call that image 1, or you can call it slide 1 if you want. I'm going to image 2, I should say. Image 2, not 1. Now, we want this image to sort of come into view around about, well, not around about, but right when this one starts to go out. So we're going to make this image here. I'll just get this timeline thing right. We're going to start this image right at this point here. So I'm just going to right click, select that keyframe right above the top of the other one. I'm going to right click it and insert keyframe. Okay, so that's when this image will appear, start to appear. So we haven't got an image there yet. We need to drag the other image in at this point, which would be image 2. And we drag this guy into there. And we'll do exactly the same. We've got it dragged into the stage. Well, it's not on the stage at this stage. We go to the Align tool. We make sure we click on the image. Go to the Align tool. Make sure that Align to Stage is ticked. Align horizontally and vertically. Okay, so now we're set up for this one. This image will be sitting in here from this frame. The one thing we haven't done yet with this particular layer and this image is that we haven't converted it to a symbol. Because like I said before, images can't be, the alpha can't be changed between them. So what we need to do is convert it to a symbol so we can do that. So right click it, convert to a symbol. We call this image 2. Still happy with the movie clip, still happy with the registration. Okay. So now what we're going to do is just set up the whole viewing thing. So from this frame here, which is 48, to this frame at 60, this is where the transition will come in. So we need to right click on the 60 and insert a keyframe. So this will be when this one comes in, that's when that one's going out, this one's coming in that area there. So then we need a viewing time of 2 seconds, which would be 60 plus 48 frames is 108, which is, I think, there, 110. It's a bit hard to tell, isn't it? Okay, so you've got 5, 6, 7, 8. It's probably that guy there. And we insert a keyframe there as well. So we've got transition in, viewing time, and then we need a transition out of 12 frames, which would be 120. So that's just here. So that's another 12 frames. So we insert another keyframe. Okay, so we want this image to fade in this area. So we click on this one here. Okay. Now at this stage it's 100%. So we're going to click on this guy here. Click on your symbol. Go to your properties. Let's have a look at the color effects, alpha, and we want that to be at 0 there because that's what we want it to be, 0. So it's doing the opposite of the other guy. So we come to frame 60, click on the symbol again, go to the color effects, alpha, and we're going to turn it right up to 100. So what we're actually doing is this one's fading out on the bottom and this one's fading in or transitioning in. So we'll right click in between those two and we insert a classic tween, and if we look at our time slider, you can see what's happening is that we've got this one viewing through here, then one's fading out and one's fading in at the same time. But then we want this guy to be viewed along for the 2 seconds, which is fine. We'll look along the time slider, it's going to stay there for 2 seconds. And then we want this guy to actually fade out. So we'll click on this one. You can see that it's not faded out there. So we'll click on this keyframe here. That's fine. Let's just click on the symbol, style, alpha, 100% at this stage is right, and we'll click on the last keyframe, click on the symbol, style, alpha, and we want that one to be at 0% because we want it to fade out on that one. So we'll put another tween in between the fading out and fading in, classic tween, by right clicking, and so everything should be sort of working like this. So we've got this guy coming in and out, this guy stays for a little while, and now he's fading out too, ready for the next one. Okay, so now what we're going to do is bring in the third image and make a new layer. One thing we should be doing is clicking on these two layers and locking them, because we don't want to do, as you can see, they're both locked now. Great. I don't want to do any damage to that. I'm happy with that. Bring in a new layer, call that layer image 3, or frame free, whatever you like to say. And now we want this guy to come in at this point here, which is just before this one starts to fade out. So this guy here. So we want to put a keyframe just above that last one, on frame 108. So I'm going to right click, insert keyframe, and that's cool. At this stage, of course, we need to go to the library and we need to bring in image 3. Anywhere again, we'll use our align tool again. Make sure that's ticked. Align horizontally and vertically. Beautiful. And we also, of course, need to right click it because it's not a symbol yet. So we right click and we convert it to a symbol, and we call this image 3. And we still, movie clip's fine, registration's fine, that's okay. So now this guy needs to fade in and fade out. Fade in while this guy's fading out. Okay, so we've got this image coming in at this frame here, and we need to put another keyframe just there, so that'll be the convert to insert a keyframe, because that's when it's going to transition in. Then we need 2 seconds of viewing time. So what am I at? I'm at frame 120. 2 seconds would be 168. 568. So I'm going to right click that one and insert a keyframe. And then we'll need to have a transition out of 12 seconds. So then we need a 12-second transition out. So we're at 168. So 12 from 168, that's 70, will be here at 180. So insert a keyframe into that one as well. Okay, so let's start our transitions. So in this frame here, we want this guy to come in, so it should be 0 as far as alpha. So we click on the symbol, we go into the color effects, we go to alpha, and it should be on 0, which is perfect. That's what we want. And then we want it on 100% here. So we click here, we'll click on this guy again, we'll click on the alpha, and we're going to bring this up to 100%, so it's transitioning in. So now that we're happy, it's 100% there, 0 there, right click between there, insert a classic tween, and those two should be transitioning in like so. We want this guy to stay here for this length, and then on this keyframe, we want it to start to fade out to 100%. So it should be 100% there. So we click on our stream, on our symbol, we go in here and go alpha, and we've got 100% there, and then we want it to be transition out there. So we click on this guy again, click on the color effect, alpha, and we bring this guy up down to 0. So we can put a tween between these guys because that's 100% there and fades out there. So right click it and create a classic tween. So we've set these guys up. So the one thing that happens here is that our transitional works. If we press play, you'll see that when it gets to the end, so we press play, you see the transition fading in, fading out, 2 seconds, fading in, fading out, 2 seconds, fading out. But the problem is we need to actually make that image 1 appear back again at that point, this point here in the keyframes. So we'll need to go back. We need to actually lock image 1. So we'll lock that off as well. And we need to unlock image 3. So we're going back into image 3's timeline. And at that point when image 1's timeline, I should say. At that point when image 3 fades out, we want to bring in our image again of image 1. So the whole loop of the movie works well. Okay, so what we need to do is grab a keyframe just underneath that particular one there, insert a keyframe, and then we need to have a transition. So we insert the keyframe. We need to have a transition for the same length of time, which is 12 seconds. So we come over here, we insert another keyframe. Insert keyframe. Now, as you can see, that was actually fading out because we faded it out all along this line here, so it was already disappeared. So at this point here, at this keyframe, at that keyframe just here, you can see that the image is there. We need to go into the alpha of it, and we need to make sure that that is down, and that's what we want. So we want it to fade back in again, so it comes back in on this keyframe. So in this keyframe, we click on there, we click on the image even though we can't see it, and we will bring the alpha back up to 100%. Okay, so that will make the whole loop work all right. So all we need to do now is just put a tween in between those two keyframes. Right click, insert keyframe, insert classic tween, and now we've got it all working the way it should be. So if we run the movie, Control Enter, you can see that there we go, image 2 seconds, fading in, fading out, 2 seconds, and it's looping around there. So it's exactly what we want. So thank you very much. Cheers.